Hello, hello. Not sure if everyone alive. I'm not sure if not sure what's going on with YouTube right now. But anyway, uh, so I think it's back up. Had to make a new stream. Okay. So, what questions do we still have? All right, let's just go over inventories because I don't know. I can't remember who had what questions. Sun. Yeah, just practice as currently. Eventually push to no help. That'll get you on 385, and then you want to just put in a timer to get a 40 timer will put you at 395, and then up to you if you want to do like hardcore or softcore and stuff like that. Keep your invocations like this, otherwise this is fine. Okay, so hopefully you saved that 395. This seems to be a good setup. SGS is fine when you're learning. I like it at least. B-gloves. I'm pretty sure if you're okay with the glove switch, B-gloves for both is fine. It's a very minimal time loss, but it's up to you. It doesn't really matter. I know this makes it very convenient for your switches, so we can keep that. No, your setup is perfect. Don't reduce the amount of, don't reduce your switches at this point. This is fine. Leave it as is. You have a really, like, perfect amount. Yeah, I like this inventory. Try to keep it as is. If you were to bank some stuff, it'd probably just be some range switches. I would say the least impactful of all this stuff is going to be this crystal helm, and then if you wanted to camp, also the assembler. Crystal helm and assembler are both relatively low impact. B gloves is, I understand both the B gloves and the crystal helm are mostly just they keep the switches even though. But if you are okay with uneven switches, these two would be to go first. Because you're only using this for sometimes Haka and P2 Warden, you're not going to get too much value out of these otherwise. It's up to you though. Definitely keep the Torva helm, of course. But if you want to bank something, I'd probably pick the crystal helm or the arrows gloves. This is a little unorganized, by the way. You might want to fix that up. So if you're looking at my stream, I would drag this and this, like these shouldn't be like a full 6-way. This should be like good 4 ways for your monkey room. Be much better. So let me copy your setup the best I can right now. Before the stream ends. So let's do that. Let's do that. Woodwaker, right? You have Shadow, you have SGS, Sun Partisan, Fang, then you have Crystal. I have Crystal too, so let's take Crystal. Arrows. Then you have a Bofa plus the Blowpipe. So what I would do starting off is you should probably organize these switches. The most efficient ones, and I assume you want to keep your darts too, would be running something like this. I don't care if you have it left or right, so let's just do kind of how you have it. Do this. This would be a really good 4-way switch for your melee and ranged. So when you're doing monkey room, you just go like this. Add that real quick. So do that. And then your gloves, you can have them mix and match like that. It's up to you how you want them to stylistically. But probably run it more like this. You have easy 4-way switches. This would be much better on your switches. Maybe make some space like this. Have these two empty, or potions that you drop at monkey room like this. That way you can easily have your 4-way switches handled. Because you don't need to worry about these 3. These barely save, if anything, save you no time. Losing ticks at Baba's much worse, or the Baba ways. I just assume 6 ways will probably take you like 2 ticks. I assume you're not 1-ticking every single one of your 6 ways. Which is why I'm saying you might want to consider organizing that a little bit better. But yeah, if you were to bank some stuff, I'd probably. The reason it's also nice to organize like this, if you want to bank Crystal Helm, you just move it like that. They're better than Barrows? Yeah, but I'm just copying your setup. That's why I'm like trying to keep it as close as possible. If you wanted to camp the Barrows gloves, because I would say that's probably the next thing you could do, then obviously your gloves are going to be a little bit uneven. So kind of look like this, and then you kind of have to watch out for both the helm and the gloves here. But you have your 4 ways that are kind of safe, like havens. But definitely keep like some open area like this. The Bofa, I recommend just putting it in Narnia. You're only gonna really use it at Akka sometimes, since you're butterflying, and Warden. So keep it like that. Unfortunately, the server's gonna close, but if you guys want, we can do some more invocation reviews some other time if we get a lot of viewers. We'll see who's interested. No, it nuked us. Well, if you still have questions, you can ask now, though. Chat. I can still stream this window. Wait, 15 game updates? I hope you logged out. Go back. You probably buy Zerai. It's not much of a difference for you though. It's so low priority. I wouldn't worry about it. You wanna save up for your Tbow. That'd be the next thing you should do. Yeah, save up for your Tbow for now. I got 100 mil left over for my second Shadow solo drop. Couldn't afford Tbow just yet. Yeah, just keep saving with it. I did it with 2 seconds left. Hope it worked. Pray. Hope you didn't die to something. Well, I think if it auto logs you out, you'll just start from the beginning of the last wave, like if you DC'd. So you're fine. You're not gonna have to start from wave 1. If anything, wave 49. Or starting at wave 50. Can you afford? Yeah, Sarah Cross. Sarah Van braces are like 200 mil or something. Try that 395 LPS, see how it goes. Probably gonna diet Akka a bunch, and then you can start taking it for free. Then hopefully you can start taking no help, and then once you're ready to take off the training wheels for diet, you'll have 445 or 455, and then you can put on Pathfinder. You'll be basically at 500 at that point. Or you can take other stuff like overly draining and overlords, whatever works better for you. Well, I'm not. You know how the new Sears ring will be upgrade will be in ToA since it has 2% magic damage? It gives +4 max hits, so at bare minimum, you're gonna get a 5% DPS increase. I am suspecting, yes, I will be bringing it as a switch, especially since I'm maging Zebak anyway. I'm going to bring it for Mage Zebak, because I'm suspecting that Mage Zebak will just be like better than ranged. I could be wrong, because that maybe I haven't checked what the range ring does. Maybe the range ring gives you like +3 max hit with Tbow. I have no idea. I haven't checked. But yeah, it's gonna be 2.5 hours and suck. Surprisingly, once you pass like double trouble keepback plateau, unless you're taking like quiet prayers, you're pretty much like home free to like 500s. It's just all perfection. But I'm going to bring it as a switch specifically for Akka and what's it called? Akka and Zebak. And I'm going to use it on P3 because I'm guessing. So a lot of people right now, what they're doing is they'll do like a 3 down and then they'll dump a shitload of specs on Warden P3 with like ZCB, right? I'm guessing it'll just simply be better to dump specs with DDS on P2 and then switch to the ring when you're at like 0% or like 20% or whatever for P3 wardens, and then just have the ring on 24/7. You'll be at 100% spec or close to it by the time you hit P4. You'll spam your specs. Maybe like keep the light bearer on if you want for like 45% or whatever, 35%. And then you'll just keep the ring for the rest of the raid. So you'll have it for basically 3 areas: P3, maybe P4, definitely Akka, and if you're maging Zebak, Zebak. I don't know how ranged Zebak is in comparison with the new ring, because Tbow has like weird scaling, so that ring might give Tbow like 3 max hits also. If it does, Tbow will still be better. But I'm still gonna mage it just because mage has a lot less switches involved. It's more chill for me. Voidwaker or Fang for Baba Puzzle Room? Uh, Voidwaker has more DPS because they have like negative defense. But the thing is, if the monkey's already low HP and you have nothing else to hit, you do want to use Fang 100%. If it's like high HP, like in teams, I recommend just using the Voidwaker slashes. I'm pretty sure I checked the calc and it was better. I don't know, I could be wrong. So, like for example, in the first waves when you have 2 rangers, like one of the early waves when you have 2 rangers, I recommend using Fang on them because there's nothing else to hit for a while. Whereas if it's like that one wave with all the shamans, the melee, and that one little shit ranger, I recommend using the Voidwaker slash because right after you kill him, there's going to be other shit for you to hit. If that makes sense. What's the best throw on P2 Warden? Range Thrall works on all phases of P2 Warden, so just use Range Thrall for P1 and P2 Warden. I habitually use the mage one and then I resummon a range, but that's like the same thing. If you want like a catch-all Thrall, P1 and P2 is ranged. Melee also works on all the phases, so it doesn't really matter. The only thing about them is that the ranged one, uh, you know how like thralls have like really shitty AI. Sometimes the melee one will like wander to Narnia, and it might like lose a tick before hitting it. But then sometimes because it's melee, it'll hit earlier, so it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Both range and melee are functionally the same for P2 Warden. Of course, Shadow over Bofa for Zebak, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Shadow's better than Bofa. Maybe not with defense reduction, but I mean, for solos, if you're gonna bring reduction, you should probably bring Sceptre since you don't have Tbow, or bring nothing at all. Is taking Masori Helm a major upgrade? I usually leave it in camp Ancestral Hat to save inventory. Depends on the context. If you have a Shadow, it's not a major upgrade at all. No. It's a nice upgrade, and you'll definitely notice it for Zebak, but it doesn't help you out any other room noticeably, just Zebak, which might be like an extra 5-10 second save depending on your raid level. If, however, you are Tbowing Warden, let's say you're an Iron Man with a Tbow and no Shadow, it is a very noticeable difference because you're going to be using it for Warden too, like P3 and P4. So, yeah, I would say with Shadow Torva, no. If you're Tbow maining, then yes. Definitely bring Masori Helm. Like, a lot of irons have like full Tbow, Masori, but not the Shadow, because Shadows are rares. Makes sense. I would say, yeah, Masori Helm, minor. The other questions we have, good peoples. Can spread my bandage propaganda freely here. guess that's it for now. If you guys have any more questions, you can drop them in chat. I guess we'll end it for today since we do not have RuneScape online. But if you do have questions that pop up from now until the end of the stream, or you want to save them for next raid, no Masori chaps, okay? Why? Or what were we talking about? I need more context on that one. I'll answer Kevin's question. Masori chaps? Like, for what? Like, just in general? Are you gonna replace him? Are you not gonna replace him and just have like an empty slot or something? I would say probably not for most people. Like, if you have them, you should bring them, is what I'm saying. If you don't have them and you're like using D hind legs, whatever, it is what it is. But I wouldn't really bank Masori chaps, no. If you have the Masori top and bottom, you should bring them. They're more valuable than any other range switch in ToA specifically, because it provides both accuracy and strength. For an extra restorer like Sceptre, no. Masori pants give you a lot of damage on P2. I've done a P2 warden without Masori pants. It's not really worth it now. You actually lose a lot of damage from not having Masori pants. There's some, I don't know how the formula works, but if you don't have it, it's gonna suck. That's why, like, even in my setups, I'd rather bank the cape than the Masori chaps. Or overlords. What about the overlords? If you were going to bank a range switch, I would do it in this order. Going from max range to low range, I would say Masori Helm, followed by Anguish if you have a Fury to replace it with and you're okay doing Fury switch, followed by zvambs, and then followed by... Well, you don't want to go any lower than that. Once you've banked both the Anguish and zvambs, you've committed to maging Zebak. So just want to remember that part. But you don't want to go any lower than that. Assembler is fine, but that's... Yeah, you can bank Assembler, actually. That's fine. But, you know, you might not want to use Web Weaver. That's super specific and niche. You might want to not think about that one. No need to panic about getting hit by the mage and whack the melee a little bit when it's next to you. Are you talking about when I was doing that run? So, are you talking about swarming or some stuff like that? I just don't understand the question, Filipino. You definitely want to panic about the mage ever getting its mage attack off. But with overlords, there's two ways you can approach it. The first way is to trap the meleeer, swarm the first set, and if you're very sweaty, swarm the second set. Now, I think a lot of people lack the skill necessary to do that, and it doesn't usually work out for them because the melee ends up healing. Shadow has a lot of overkill on travel time, so the melee ends up healing a lot. It's very inconsistent, and then they end up with a overlord room that's like slower than if they just stabbed everything to death, like super chill. For the second one, I most definitely recommend trapping the ranger. You can see some of my previous videos, but I think at this point I might end up making just a Kefri overlord tutorial itself, because a lot of people always ask questions about it, and it's hard to explain all the ins and outs of it over and over. It stings, of course. So I might just make a separate video for that. But for the second set, the major teleports if you hit it 3 times above 3 damage, or if you hit a 39 or above. I don't know that 39 number ever changes based on invocation level, but 39 seems to be consistent for all of the ones I've done. So what I do is I'll stab it twice with Fang, because Fang is the most consistent weapon in Kefri. And if I hit twice, they're always going to be above 3 because Fang has a minimum roll. If I hit twice and I have a Void Waker in my inventory, which I do, I'll actually stab the meleeer 1 or 2 more times, and then I'll Void Wake the major for a 100% guaranteed hit. That will force it to teleport. Remember, Void Waker doesn't always hit above 39, so this is not for that. It's for the 3rd hit, not for the 39. And then I go to hit the meleeer, and I go to where the arcane teleports and all that stuff, and I set up the trap there. But I know a lot of people can't like envision the Kefri room in their mind right now. I only do 420, so need some help because I have like 2.5 P-pots going to P1. Don't think enough for no help. So here's a. Are you using Karis in P1 or P2? Because that's important to know. And do you have bandages on or off? I personally found prayer management to be easier with bandages, although it's an HP item, if you don't have to Karis. Because Karis, using Karis for P1 and P2 is usually they use it once or twice. That's 100 prayer points. Sometimes I get 5 or even close to 6-minute kills, but I simply like to trap the ranger to save way more time. P1 after 2 orbs. And then I assume you probably stun at P2 maybe? Is my guess. You probably stun again at P2, like after it all ends. Or you'll like stab some skulls maybe later. That consumes a lot of prayer too. So need some help. Probably, what does it give you? Like 2 restores guaranteed. I don't think it gives you 3, but it does give a scarab though. With no help, you'll have 1 scarab and 1 restore for free. And then just assume you have plus 50 more prayer at least. But since you just said yeah, assume you'll have another plus 100 prayer, which is another restore. So you should try giving it a shot. You should really try giving it a shot. Do no help with died off, because you'll be plus 10 over your current invocations right there, Dave, instead of plus 15 and then plus 15 again from diet. I'll write it in stream. Plus 15. Need some help. I'm going to type in as NSH and plus 15 diet off. Is it not double power? If you can handle double power, it'd be great. If you have 2.5 is enough. 2.5 with shadow is enough going into starting wardens, but I just assume you were going life second. That's why. But need some help. Those 30 points. Whereas you can do plus 40. Need no help. Sorry. No help needed. NHN. Plus 0 diet. Oh, sorry. It's diet on. Sorry, plus 15 diet on. Let me recorrect that. Plus 15 and diet on equals 30 points. Versus plus 40 need no help needed plus 0 diet off equal 40 points. So you get plus 10 points while having bandages. And bandages will prevent you from needing sun on P1 or P2, which is 100 prayer. It was 4. But you have a shadow, right? So here's what you should do. You can just lazy flick for P1. If you have a shadow, I really don't know if you have shadow. I'm gonna assume you do. But if you don't, let me know right away. So with shadow, you just lazy flick obelisk. No augury. 2. Blue. You want to use the blue pyramid or blue/red pyramid for P3. or even no offensive. And then red pyramid / augury for P4. And if you use your offensive specifically like that, you should be good with 2.5 going into P4 and still have enough for 1 sun. If you do the no offensive route, you should have enough for 2. And no offensive is about 10 or 15 seconds lost per P3, which is somewhat significant, but of course, I assume you're valuing the safety more and don't mind at that point. That's kind of like a decision you make once you get there. It's not like you're guaranteed to lose 15 seconds of raid anyway. That's just like, oh, this raid I didn't do that well, so I guess I'll just take a slight loss so I can be more safe. It's a decision that I make all the time. You see that a lot of the time I'll use the red pyramid instead of augury because I know if I used augury, I'm not gonna deal with it. That means no skull skipping then at that point? No. Not necessarily. You can still skull skip with no help needed. Skull skipping doesn't change anything other than making P3 last slightly longer. But if you really, really wanted those points and didn't want to lose too much prayer, you could do what I just said and use the blue pyramid prayer, whatever that is, mystic lore, or use no offensives. It's not much of a difference, and you can still pull off your skull skip. This is more like a Q&A stream at this point. Plus Q&A. Ask me any ToA questions. I'll just change my title. So yeah, don't be afraid to downgrade your offensives with Shadow. You really have a lot of diminishing returns, so no need to consume shit tons of prayer on P3 and stuff like that. That's why I'm like, when I'm like going in with 2, I'm chilling. If you have bandages, you'll be super chilling. But if you want to go double power, which is ideal, maybe consider an SGS if you want to. SGS is really chill. It gives you prayer and it gives you restore back, and it's a good last hit weapon. But it's up to you. I just use it as a substitute for restore. But I could do 2.5 with Sun. I would probably just use blue pyramid or no offensives too. We're just taking 2 rotations through. Dave, do you happen to have a you have Void Waker in your setup, Dave? I have no idea what this update's about. I assume it's a server lag. Do you have Void Waker in your setup, Dave? You said max gear, right? So let me show you a really neat trick, Dave. Hold on. I want to stream my last VOD if that's possible. But I also want to make sure I don't let's see. Weird. Let's see. Let me see if I can get OBS to stream my last window. Hold on. Properties. Okay. Hold on. I need to separate the tabs too. I can see chat. Okay. Let me show you a trick for tick eating. That's very easy. Do you see the VOD? Yeah. So let's go to any warden that I end up tick eating in. Let me show you how it's done. So specifically, I do Void Waker for this because it makes tick eating the first orb very easy. It practically self-times itself. So that's a pretty decent. Let me mute myself so you don't hear me twice. So you'll see I have my Void Waker out, right? When I'm running in, this is a super small tip. I always click the side of the ghost because if you just press the ghost itself, you're gonna start it by walking up to it, and you'll need 2 ticks to go up to the obelisk. Whereas if you start like this, you can instantly hit the obelisk, no ticks lost with melee weapon like Voidwaker. So you see how, well, there I messed up, but this is a terrible example actually. Let me find a better example. One that I don't lose any ticks, because it's important you don't lose a stick. So I'll begin the fight here, and then I'll spec. Instantly move to the side, spec again, and then, you know, shadow and start hitting. And from here on out, if you rapid heal... Holy shit, what is that? Is that a roly-poly? Anyway. So if you don't lose any ticks with your shadow from here on out, right, and you tank the 75 specifically with rapid heal, once you tank your first orbs, you'll be 1 HP, right? Yeah, I missed the ticks, it's legal. As soon as... So look at the chat box here. There's the blue orb and there's the red orb, right? When you get the chat message right here for the third one, you can do 3 shadows. As soon as your third shadow goes off, take out your sun and spec. And that will be perfect tick eat for the very first orb, the third orb that comes in. So look. So 1, 2, and then I just leave Augury on, 3. As soon as that third hit goes off, I just whip it out and spec. Boom. Instantly tick eat. You don't need to worry about the timing yourself. You just time it with your shadow hit instead. Much easier. Why don't you safe spot with the shadow? Because you do definitely want to tank. You could safe spot, but the problem is shadow has a really long projectile time. So you end up actually a lot of the time taking more damage safe spotting because of the projectile time. Like that, every bit of second matters. Like in this case, like what if... Hold on, like right here. If I was safe spotting and this 17 EXP drop theoretically was the killing blow on the obelisk and I was a mile away, I'm taking this 45. Whereas because I'm in front of it, if this was the killing blow, I wouldn't take this 45 or this 30 that's coming to my forehead right now. It's not a 45, but it could be a 45. So you want to minimize travel time as the TLDR. It's fine to dodge, you just move 2 dials, right? But yeah, so as soon as you get this blue chat box, 3 shadows, 1, 2, and as soon as the third one off, equip, spec, boom, instant ticky, easy. You don't need to time it yourself if you do it this way. And then that instantly negates 45 damage on your end. I only learned this recently, and I started taking advantage of it, and it's very easy to pull off. I really like it, because you don't have to start E2 on like 50 health. But yeah, you could also use SGS to bail you out. SGS is great. But that's only if you're 3 downing. If you're doing 2 down on purpose, I wouldn't bring it. I'm so sorry. There was another question by Dezo here. Do you recommend thralls over ancients for someone trying to get his first solo expert? Yeah, if you're talking experts, I assume you've already known the basic mechanics of the raid. Definitely run thralls, speed it up for yourself, and then just learn to deal with the thralls either with a blowpipe or bring Chinchompas. Plan to run some ToA viewers or some sort of teaching session by any chance? Probably not, because I teach solos. I would have to teach a lot of team-related mechanics. I can give you some small tips and tricks like the croc lock, but overall the rate is roughly the same. The thing is, if I were to teach viewers, I would have to cater to a lot of other small things, and I wouldn't be able to teach as efficiently as I am just playing by myself. That's the problem. Like, I would have to direct people for dung at Caffrey. I can give tips about corruption and like good teamwork for like the Baba Monkey room. The croc block is amazing. But also, where do I consider myself? Skill wise. But also, yeah, like, it's just harder to teach other people like my more advanced tactics if I'm also watching them do basic stuff. And also, there's not much really ToA. There's actually not much more to teach from solos to teams anyway. So it's more efficient for you just to learn like solos and work on improving yourself. Skill wise, I don't know, maybe like if there's like exact at 10 and like a noob at 0, then I guess like 8, 8 or 7. If like exact and wooks are like 10s, probably like 7 or 8 in that area. I don't know about 10. I can't do a 50 combat. I cannot do anywhere close to 50 combat inferno. I'm just really good at, like, in terms of just raw skill, I would say, yeah, I'm like a 7. But I would say management wise, when it comes to like bang for buck and like knowing what's worth our time and what's worth for the average player base, I'd probably say I'm like very aware what people are very capable of. That's why I'm doing like invocation reviews because people have trouble knowing how to move up. Yeah, I would say like 7 or 8. You don't want to look. You don't want to see me at solo challenge world home. You'll know why I consider myself on the lower end sometimes. You don't want to see me do an omen. Mess. What other tips do I have? If Filipino's still here, maybe I can give him some tips about double trouble while I'm here. Since his next goal is to learn double trouble. Let me see if when he teleports. I don't know if Filipino's still here, but I forgot to GM home. No, I'm not really interested in grinding Grandmasters. I didn't do my normal Void Waker. Let me mute myself so I don't double voice it. Where do I run the freaking memory? Alright, so Filipino's still here. Let me show you how to do memory. So, one good habit you always want to have is if you can either manually always path 2, or you can click far and always be ready to stop yourself. So here, memory, you can see I start off with clicking manually, always clicking in evens. And if you ever mess up and not clicking even, you can change direction last second. So I'm clicking evens here. And then from here on out, once you're in the middle, the best positions you want to be in are going to be either right on the symbol, so basically like here, here, or here, here, or any of these 3. The thing is, if you're on any of these 3, you just got to be a little bit more mindful about some like back and forth movements. So look for open spaces you can click. So always roll out, obviously, anything of an orb. So if we go to the start of memory, I know that we're going like this way. I've already memorized these 3. 1, 2, 3. It's a direction. They can never go diagonal. And exactly the way double trouble works with the orbs here is that it will place 1 in front of where you are, it will place 1 where you were, and it will place 1 in front of the direction that you land. So when I'm hovering my tile here, and I know if I click this, there will be an orb where I was plus where it is. Just like that. And then if I click here, I know there's going to be 1 on the edge here. Doesn't actually matter that I click this one versus, let's say, this one or this one. Which of these tiles are actually good? It's actually any of these 3. It doesn't matter which one, as long as I'm not clicking to the left here. So it doesn't matter which one. This is technically a safe one because it technically places an orb on the east side, but I know that it's going to place an orb on over here, which doesn't matter to me because I only use these 4 anyway. Here, this is Probably not a good idea for learners. You can click a diagonal like this. I know exactly where this orb's gonna land. It's gonna land here. But if you're not sure, you can do like an L here, and it'll drop it outside. But I feel like a lot of people... The problem is, although it's more optimal for a learner to drop it more outside, putting thought process, in my opinion, putting thought process to where you're putting the orbs is not a good idea. All I see is, oh, I dropped an orb here. I probably shouldn't go back, you know, and click that and stuff like that. So I'm always clicking just empty ones. Because the empty ones are always going to be one in front of you. They're never going to be three in front of you or something like that. It's either one or two, and both one or two are safe for double trouble. I'm confused about the optimal path one should take. Some say it's Croc, Kef, Aka, Baba. Yesterday, guy told me it's Aka, Croc. He's lost his fucking mind. Anyway, I can definitely give you my thoughts on that. Power life, by the way, especially since you're learning 300, is perfectly fine. I do not recommend anyone go double power until they're at least in about like the 400s starting out. So keep going power and life. Now, I'm gonna assume since you're starting off, you're probably a softcore player, which is fine. It's optimal, honestly, to be softcore at like 300s. Hardcore is like a 400 plus thing if possible. So remember this. Super combats, I'm gonna assume you're 99 of everything. I assume you're 99 attack, strength, ranged, magic, okay? Super combats are gonna put you at 118. Salts put you at 125. Remember that. Salts, 25. SCPs, 118 for melees, and 112 for range slash magic, right? If you use ranged pot slash heart. Now, I want you to calculate the difference between assault and those boosts. 125 minus 118 is going to give you a 7 difference for melees. Significant, right? But 125 to 112 is 13. Now that's just straight up massive in comparison. Not only that, what kinds of damage do you deal to those rooms respectively? Baba and Kefri are pretty much mostly exclusively melee. So that's why people do them first. Now, there's a small reason why people do Baba first. You could do theoretically Kefri first, but there's a small reason. It's just for inventory related reasons and total time. And not like also because Baba's chip damage is a lot higher at level 1, whereas Kefri has no chip damage, but exclusively melee. Zebak, and Aka, no matter what kind of player you are, no matter what gear no matter what gear you are, is going to be either mage or ranged or both. So it's going to be those. If you do them 3rd and 4th, your salt's going to give you so much of a boost for them instead. That makes sense. Yeah, if you know how the orbs work, try not to overthink about like, oh, I need to drop my orb out here so I don't grief myself. If you're here in a solo, it's like impossible. Just click an empty space in this like little 4x4 here, and you're chilling. Just click empty spaces. It's just memory, but you can click empty spaces. Just don't constrict yourself to just one. Just sometimes you'll do 2. That's it. So let's go into a little bit of total time, like room management for like Baba as well. So as you know, this puzzle takes like 3 minutes. You know what happens in 3 minutes? You consume a shit ton of prayer. And because you consume enough prayer to consume 1 potion, that's perfect for total time, because then you can grab the salt and stuff later without having to drop a potion. Whereas if you're like adept at flicking for Zebak, for example, you end up having to like lug around the super restore. Isn't it like Akka plus Zebak shred you on with Walk the Path on? No. They do not shred you. We have to discuss a core concept. First of all, Zebak won't shred you because it's a 100% printable against boss. So let's just Zebak, you will not take damage no matter what. Let's just agree with that for now. I do understand you might be concerned about the blood attacks, but especially at 300, it's not going to be that much. If you want to, by the way, quick tip: if you're personally annoyed by the blood attacks, you can do this. Let me just go to a quick Zebak. Let's go to waves specifically, because I'm assuming you have like very basic gear. No, I think we passed the waves. You're probably when you say shred, I assume you're talking about the blood barrages. So when Zebak starts waves, all you need to do is whip out a blowpipe and blowpipe spec a jug. That's gonna give you like 30 HP back. Not really, it'll give you like 20. But if you want to learn how to pray against the blood barrages, here's what you do. Stare right here. You see his feet right here? Sometimes you'll see a little animation come up. Probably take a few seconds, but look. I'm continually staring at his feet right here. And then keep an eye out. There, you see this little blood thing that just came out? I'm gonna slow-mo that. Can I slow-mo that? Put it at 0.75 speed. Watch right at his feet right here. Right there. When you see that, you put Pray Mage on, wait for this noise to appear, and then put back on your normal prayers. The only thing is on Enrage, you can just ignore doing that entirely. You can flick it on level 2 and 3 Zebak, but don't worry about it for now. It's not necessary. So about like 3 ticks after you see that animation, it'll do the blood barrage on you. And I'm already praying Mage, so it doesn't matter. Talking about Warden Face Zebak will machine gun you? No, it's like the same. If you're concerned about level 3 to 4 Zebak, trust me, I mean, you're doing like 300s, right? So you shouldn't have a level 4 Zebak. Walk the Path maxes that at level 3. Level 3 is very slow. Level 3 is a very slow Zebak, so don't worry. I think that it gives you like 6 seconds to react or something crazy at level 3 Zebak for Warden, so don't worry about that. Akka, although Akka does more damage, and he might potentially be level 2, so you have to count to 5 when doing memory, you do so much more damage that you end up taking less, because you kill it so much faster. It's as simple as that. It's one of those core concepts of RuneScape. You just kill it faster, so you take less damage. And that's completely applicable to Akka. It's also a tri-rid boss. If you want like a full VOD of your gear, I recommend, if you don't mind me self-plugging myself, I recommend this one for you. By the way, you probably don't want to bring, I hope you're not bringing pegs into the raid. You only bring prims ever into ToA. People saw my weeb recommendations. Sorry, I'm a weeb. Yeah, there you go. That's what I would recommend. What else should we go about? I understand order. That's it. So, guess we're good to go. Weeb and I'm proud. It's not like I listen to anime music 24/7 though. With your gear, theoretically you can just like spam like 30-minute-ish 400s. Alright guys, I'm gonna get ready to go to bed. You guys have a good rest of the day. See you guys tomorrow. If you guys want to do some inventory reviews, you know, night.